Are we live? I think we are. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Circuit Stream workshop. Thank you all for joining us today. And apologies for any confusion we may have caused with the timing of the event, but happy to see we do have quite an audience here today. Before I do continue on, though, can you let me know in the chat to the right there? Can you all hear me and see me? If you could toss into the chat, can you hear me and see me? Andrew, great seeing you, my man. Yes, all good. Mehreen, Richard, Matt, Devin, Yomag, Will, Yasim, Sebastian, Carolyn, everyone. Hey, thank you so much for letting me know that you can all hear me and see me. Super excited to have you all with us today. This will be a very exciting workshop. We'll be covering augmented reality t-shirt experience and application. So developing and using Unity to build your own holographic t-shirt here. And thank you again to everyone for joining us on this webinar and workshop. So a few housekeeping items before I do continue on. So to the right there, as you can see, there is a chat. So feel free to chat amongst yourselves, toss in your LinkedIn profiles, whatever you'd like. Always great to see people being active in the chat. Now, to the right of the chat, at the top, there are a few tabs. There's a questions tab as well. So if you do have any questions, please do toss them into the questions tab. It helps us really organize all the questions that come in, see what hasn't been answered, and what to answer at the very end of this webinar today in our Q&A session. And now to the right of the questions tab, there's also a polls tab. So I'll be tossing in polls throughout this workshop and webinar just to gauge the experience of the audience here. But as an example, I'm going to toss a poll in right now. And out of curiosity, I'm interested to know, what devices do you own? So if you go to the polls tab, I just published that poll. Let me know which devices you're working with, if any at all. I myself have both of the Oculus Quests here at home. Let's see if I can show you all. This one's the Quest 2 that I have. My Quest 1 is kind of hidden on the wall there. But it looks like there's a lot of Oculus Quest folks. iPhones, Android phones, that makes sense. You know, most people have phones these days. HTC, a Microsoft HoloLens 2. That's awesome. Give me a shout. Let me know who's got the HoloLens 2 here in the chat. But looks like you're all familiar with the chat, the questions tab, and the polls tab. So let's continue on. Thanks again, everyone, for joining us on this augmented reality t-shirt application. Brief kind of agenda. What are we going to be covering today? Well, I myself will do a quick introduction, which will last about 5 to 10 minutes long. Then I'm going to invite my colleague onto the stage to do a deep dive in this augmented reality t-shirt experience, really showing you all how to open up Unity and start your own AR and holographic t-shirt experience. That'll take about 30 to 45 minutes. I'll come back, wrap things up with some resources for about 5-10 minutes. And then we're going to open it up for our live Q&A session at the very end. And depending on how many questions we get, this tends to last 15 to 30 minutes as well. Now, this is all recorded, so feel free to sit back, kick your legs up, relax, observe. You can work alongside us if you'd like, but because this is recorded, you will receive the recording to work with afterwards. So I would suggest sit back, ask questions, observe, and then later on, feel free to work with this yourself. You can stop, slow it down, replay it, whatever it may be. Now, we will also be sending you all the project files and resources that we use today on this workshop and webinar with Unity, and this will be emailed to you all as soon as the workshop wraps up. I assume an hour or two after the end of this workshop here. But without further ado, quick introduction for myself. My name is Stefan. I'm the learning advisor here at Circuit Stream. I have over 7 years of experience in the tech industry, working with travel IT companies, learning management system providers, business integration and ERP platforms, and now in the beautiful world of augmented reality and virtual reality. And a quick icebreaker fact about myself, I was a member of Water Polo Canada way back in the day. I trained with the 2008 Beijing Olympic team. Never went to the Olympics, but a great experience nonetheless. And today, it's an honor and a pleasure to have our colleague, instructor, and developer, Indika Wijasuria, join us to host the more technical portion of this presentation here. Now, Indika has over 5 years of VR and AR development, using it for marketing, historical visualizations, and industrial applications. And an interesting fact about Indika, He loves getting lost in long conversations, especially around technology. So feel free to ask any questions, and he'd be more than happy to help answer any questions about tech, VR, AR, t-shirts, whatever it may be. But super excited to have Indica here join us, and it's a pleasure to have him. So for those of you who are new to us, who is Circuit Stream? What do we do? Well, Circuit Stream was founded in 2015. When everyone was looking to start creating VR and AR experiences, we noticed the gap in actually helping people learn how to develop and design these themselves. And since 2015, we've had the pleasure to teach over 40,000 people how to develop, manage, design, and implement VR and AR experiences from scratch. And Circuit Stream is also a Unity certified training partner and channel partner. And partners are approved based on their expertise, focus on quality education, and commitment to providing the highest level of training available. So we're a team of about 20 to 25 people located all over the world. I myself am located in Canada. My colleague Indica, I believe, is in Sri Lanka, if I'm not mistaken. Indica, feel free to let me know. I think you're in Sri Lanka, but I'd love to also ask the chat here, where are you all tuning in from? So I myself am in Canada, Calgary, Alberta. We have Indica from Sri Lanka, so I was right and correct. We have Sebastian from Boston, Andrew from Colorado, Dinuka from Sri Lanka as well, Richard from the US, Natalie from Denmark, Singapore, Dubai, London, Rome, Egypt, Mauritius, and Spain. Wow, very international crowd today. Super excited. Thank you all for joining us again. We're also a quite international team. We're located in North America, South America, Europe, and Asia. So you can find us everywhere as well. But there's really, since 2015, there's really one thing that we've always been focusing on, and that's been training and education. And these are just some of the people that we've had the pleasure to have in our programs and training, educational opportunities to help them learn how to develop, design, and manage these experiences themselves using Unity. So we've had the pleasure to have the US Navy, Facebook, Hershey's, the chocolate company, various universities and colleges join us to learn this themselves and really help them create their own experiences as well. So a little bit more about the programs that we have to offer. Again, I'll go through this quickly, but if you're interested in diving into this a little bit more, feel free to reach out to any of our team members who would be happy to help. So we have 2 beginner-friendly programs and 1 more advanced course. And one of those beginner-friendly programs is our XR Development with Unity course. Now, this is 10 weeks long with 80 hours of available instruction over the 10 weeks. There's 30 hours in class, live sessions taught by instructors, and 50 hours of open office hours available for students to get additional support as well. And the XR Development course is beginner-friendly. So we have a next cohort on August 3rd. This is our MENA cohort, our international-friendly cohort, followed by one September 14th as well, which is more North American friendly. Now, the advanced course that we have to offer is our XR Project Accelerator program. And this is 8 weeks long with 90 hours of available instruction. And I want to say that 40 of those hours are in class with 50 hours of available support as well through the open office hours that we have to offer. And this is available on September 14th if anyone's interested in diving into it. Now, for our other beginner-friendly program, this is our design course. We have a development course more focused on coding, C# and Unity. This one really involves no manual coding, the interaction design and prototyping for XR course. This one starts on August 23rd. It's also 10 weeks long with 80 hours of available instruction. I won't get into too much detail, but if you do have any questions, feel free to reach out, and we'd be happy to discuss these programs with you and see if it's a good fit or not. But, what differentiates us from a lot of the other providers out there? It's our project-based courses, the live mentorship that we offer, and the one-on-one support if someone is looking to get one-on-one support with their own projects as well. That's really kind of the value here, is having someone there to support you with any issues or concerns that you're running into, any challenges, to support you, hold your hand, guide you throughout the process and your learning journey there. We do also offer team training opportunities for anyone who's interested in diving in as a group with a bunch of colleagues. And I'll share a little bit more about this later on. But now that you've learned a little bit more about ourselves, what are you all here today? What are you going to learn? Well, today we'll be showing you how Unity is used to build augmented reality apps. We'll also show you how to use marker-based tracking, how to develop an AR scene in Unity, what the best practices are of creating good image markers, and answers to your questions. So bring them all. We'll have an in-depth Q&A at the end, and Indica and myself may be answering questions as well as this webinar continues on. So I love to ask this on all of our workshops and webinars, and I'm going to toss in a poll here. On a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being I've never heard of Unity before, 10 being my name is Andrew, I'm a Jedi Master. I'm just kidding, Andrew. But 10 being that I'm the Chuck Norris of Unity. I know everything about it. Let me know. I just published the poll in the polls tab. How much experience do you have with Unity? 0, I've never heard about it. 10, you're the master. You created Unity yourself. I'd love to know there. I see Niranjan in the chat. He's a 2. And that's completely fine. This is a beginner-friendly webinar. So I'm just looking at the results here, and it seems like it's a mix. We've got quite a few beginners. We've got a few 6s and 7s in the audience here today. I'm sure you'll all get something out of this. And feel free to ask all those questions in the questions tab. We'd be happy to shed light on all of those. Now, for those of you who said 0, what is Unity? Well, Unity is a free 3D development engine for building games, simulations, and experiences. It's the easiest way to begin making apps for XR. Now, XR stands for extended reality, and it's an umbrella term, a simple term that captures both AR, augmented reality, and VR, virtual reality. You can toss in MR, mixed reality, in there as well, but a simple term that captures the entire industry here. Now, how does one person actually go about creating their own experience, whether it's VR or a holographic AR t-shirt? Well, you have an idea, and you bring that idea into a creation engine like Unity. And that's where you develop and design your idea with the support of some tools. And then to push it out to one of the devices you had built for, and this could be for any device really, you use an SDK, software development kit, to push it out to one of the headsets or mobile phones and devices, tablets that you'd like to push it out for. So again, you have an idea, you bring it into Unity, you build it out, you work with it, you create it, and then you push it out to the devices and headsets that you want that experience to live for. But now that you've learned a little bit more about us and what this is all about, let's get this show on the road. I'd love to invite my colleague Indica onto the stage here. Indica, thank you for joining us. It's great to see you. It's a pleasure and an honor to have you here leading this technical portion.
Thank you very much, Steph. It's an honor to be here as well for me. I'm pretty excited about this. You know, I've been pretty excited about this AR t-shirt kind of a thing. So I actually printed a t-shirt to demonstrate the same. You know, demonstrate the whole thing. I'm, you know how excited I am. So. Right. Yeah, let's get this started.
Perfect. Yes, so you're all in great hands. Indica's going to take about 30 to 45 minutes here. Maybe a little longer, maybe a little shorter, but you're in great hands. I'll be back in about 45 minutes or so. We'll wrap things up and we'll open it up for Q&A.
Amazing.
Awesome. Cool. Take care.
Alrighty. Bye-bye, Steph. Okay, so I am going to share my screen. We're going to get this show on the road. All right, just tell me, can you guys see my screen? Which says intro to augmented reality. Awesome. So I'm just going to take like 5 minutes to give an introduction to what augmented reality is and what sort of augmented reality applications we have and what are the tools that we have in order to develop something like that. Awesome. So, let's just dive in. All right. So when it comes to different types of augmented reality, right? When you say augmented reality, it's all about you have the physical environment, and then on top of that, you spawn something virtual, right? So in that case, we call them as augmented reality. That is because you augment something on the physical world, right? So as you can see here, right over here, you can see this QR marker. And then on top of this, there's this London Big Ben building. And also over here, you have the cotton, the milk cotton. And then on top of that, there are some, annotations and stuff like that. So these kind of things require a certain known image or a known marker, we call it, right? And that specific augmented reality feature, we call that as marker-based AR, because we have a marker which is kind of like a known plane, known object. And then on top of that known object, we spawn a 3D object, right? So just like that, we can actually show augmented content, right? Additional information. The other type is actually markerless AR, where we don't have any known planes, right? There are no QR codes, there are no posters or stuff like that, right? So Pokemon Go is a really good example for that. This was a hype 5 years back. I believe that today marks the 5th year for Pokemon Go, which is like kind of amazing. And basically what it does is it identifies the planes, the world around you, right? The sensors, the camera sensors, and the artificial intelligence of the smartphone can identify the planes and obstacles around you. And on top of that, we can actually spawn 3D objects, right? So in this case, we don't actually have a marker, but we have a virtual plane, that is inclined with the actual physical world. Awesome. Right, and then apart from that, there are like different types of other augmented reality based, for example, tracking body parts. As you can see here, I know that you're familiar with a lot of face filters in Instagram, Snapchat, and stuff like that. And also there are like really good applications called, I couldn't remember the name of it. I think this is one of Nike's apps. It's called WannaKicks, and they kind of track the foot. And then on top of the foot, they place a shoe, which is kind of really good for like, augmented reality e-commerce as this application. So now we're going to be building AR applications, right? So in order for us to build AR applications, we need to identify what sort of channels that we can build AR applications to, right? So we know we have experienced a lot of augmented reality applications through our smartphones, right? We have iPhones, we have Androids, and then apart from that, there are like, these are like top grossing products when it comes to wearable augmented reality. We call this one as the Microsoft HoloLens. This one we call as the Magic Leap, right? So each of these devices have their own software development kits or software, we call them SDKs, development kits, where developers can use in order to build applications, right? For iOS, for Apple, we have something called ARKit. For Android, we have something called ARCore. For HoloLens, we have something called Windows. For Lumen, for Magic Leap, we have something called Lumen. So imagine if you want to build an AR application that is available for iOS and Android. First, you have to write it with ARKit, and then you have to, again, do the same thing with ARCore. You have to do the same thing with Windows. So this is kind of overwhelming, right? So in order to ease out the process of building things over and over again for different platforms, Unity came up with something called AR Foundation, right? So Unity is actually the 3D engine, the game engine that we are going to be using today. Inside that, we have something called AR Foundation, which uses the ARKit, ARCore, the Lumen, and the Windows 10 SDK so that it can talk to different devices, right? So what you have to do is to basically use AR Foundation, and the rest of the things will be managed by AR Foundation. We don't have to worry about anything, right? Now we're going to be talking about this too. So if you talk about Unity's AR Foundation, it has limited capabilities for different platforms. So you can even search this online. Some of the platforms, they have the ability to create, they have ability of doing everything. For example, device tracking, plane tracking, point clouds. We call some of them as anchors. And these wearable devices such as Magic Leap and HoloLens, they don't have a lot of tracking features, but they have something called meshing. the meshing is really important when it comes to identify the context, the obstacles, planes and stuff around. So that is why these are like high-end devices, high-end wearable devices, which uses extensive sensors in order to do this meshing part. Anyway, so enough talking. I think, yep, enough talking. So let's go back to this. Unity. All right, so I believe you have the ability to go to Unity 3D Engine's website and download Unity 3D Engine. So basically, you are not downloading Unity Engine first. You're downloading something called Unity Hub, which is a small application like this. And if you go to install section, there are different types of versions of Unity that you can download, right? So in this case, I'm using Unity 2020.3.8 because this is the currently stable version of Unity. You can add a new version of Unity by clicking this add button over here, right? And here it will ask what is the version that you want to install. I can select this, and if I click next, here I can select additional components for me to install, right? Now, today we are going to be building an application that I can put on my Android device, right? Some of you might have iOS, Apple devices. For that, you need to have Apple support, and you need to have a MacBook as well because it's Apple. But apart from that, you will need additional support, right? So in this case, you can see here there are like additional modules that we can install. Over here, I can see there is something called Android build support. So I'm going to install it. If you expand this, there is something called Android SDK and NDK ticket, Open JDK ticket. Don't worry about them. These are just SDKs and development kits that are used by Android to build applications. If you are building this for your iOS, for your Apple phone, you need to enable iOS build support, right? So I'm not going to do that because I'm on a Windows machine. And that's pretty much it. So basically, you have everything that you need. If you are installing Unity for the very first time, then you should install Visual Studio if you are coding. But trust me, today we are not going to touch any coding. We're doing it codeless, right? So it will be easier for most of you guys. And when you click next, right? When you click next, it's going to download. So it's going to take some time. So I'm not going to download Unity again. Now we have to go to the projects section. Once the Unity is installed, go to the project section, and over here you can create a new project, right? So I'm going to choose new. If you have multiple versions, you have a drop down where you can select the version, right? And here you can select the version that you're going to create the project. All right. So now it will come up. It will show you a dialog box like this. So here you can give a name. I can give it as AR T-shirt. And also you can give a location where you want to save this. And I'm going to select Universal Render Pipeline, right? So 3D is actually the basic, the standard render pipeline. Universal Render Pipeline is something really recent, something that recently Unity came up with. And it contains a lot of features. I think, Andrew and, all our students know what Universal Render Pipeline can do with all the shaders and graphics, right? Yeah, URP for the win. So we're going to be using URP. We're not going to be using a lot of graphic stuff, but it's good to start with that. Nice. And you have to select create. So I'm not going to do that because sometimes Unity might take some time to, I don't want to waste time. I don't want to waste your time. So I have a project already open for you. Nice. So here you go. I'm going to give you a little bit of an introduction to the Unity's interface, right? And then I'm going to move into the actual development. Right, so as when you start the Unity project, you'll be treated with something like this with URP, right? Basically, this is the Universal Render Pipeline's default scene. First thing that you need to do is to identify how to navigate within the scene, right? The best way that I find is by holding your right click in the middle of the scene, and then you can look up, down, and you can move your mouse so you can look left and right, right? Imagine that I want to get closer to this. One way that I can do is by scrolling up and down, right? I'm not recommending that. It's a little bit cranky, but I would what I would recommend is that hold your right click right? So that you can move up and down your mouse, and you can like look up and down, and press W, slowly press W, and you can move forward. If you press S key, you can move backwards. If you press A, you can move sideways. And if you press T, you can move the other side. And also pressing E would take you up, pressing Q would take you down. So it's better to, it's better to navigate within the scene and you kind of get familiarized with it. Otherwise, it's going to be a hell for you to, manipulate all of these 3D models, 3D objects, right? All right, so if you can combine your movement, the rotation and everything, so you can easily, navigate within this scene. So if I may ask you to go near this bulb, you can easily go near this flashlight, or maybe near this, whatever the thing this is. Okay, nice. So this is the scene view where you can actually see the 3D scene. And over here, there is something called the hierarchy view, right? The hierarchy view. The hierarchy view contains all of the game objects. We call them as game objects, or the objects that are in the scene. For example, if I click main camera, it will automatically select the camera over here, right? Here you go. So this is actually the virtual camera that actually captures everything, right? So we have a virtual camera inside the 3D scene, which captures everything. And there is another scene which is called game scene, right? So what you see here is basically what this camera sees. So if you move this, you can see a small portion over here. You can see how it sees the whole scene, right? You can move it up and down. There you go. And the other one is when you select a game object, it will list down all of the properties of that game object in the inspector window at your right-hand side, right? So here we call them as components. For example, the main camera has a component called transform, camera, audio listener, simple camera controller, and universal additional, I don't know. So we have like around 5 components for this camera. If you select the directional light, you have only 2 components, which is the transform and the light. The transform is really important because we're going to be using this transform component a lot. And over here, you can see the transform component has the position, the rotation, and the scale, right? So this basically, for example, if I select the this hat over here, right? If I select the hat over here, you can see that this is kind of in a hierarchy, right? There are children objects, there are parent objects, right? So the safety hat, you can select this, and using these tools over here, you can move them up and down, right? And also you can rotate them just like this, right? And also you can see how the transform changes, right? When I'm rotating this, you can see how the rotation of the transform changes, right? I can even give 0, 0, 0 value so that it will be reset to its original position. And also I can scale this up and down. I use this scale tool over here, and I click the middle of this, and then I can scale this up and down, right? There we go. Nice. So all of these properties and everything can be managed by the components that we see in the inspector window. The final one, trust me, the final one is the project window, where we have all the assets, the 3D models, the images, and everything laid across in an assets folder, right? So everything that we put here in the assets folder might not be important to your game or to your project. So this is basically like a library of the same project, right? All good. Now we're going to be starting the AR foundation or AR development. Okay, so over here, you can see that this is set to PC, Mac, and Linux standalone, right? So ultimately, we are going to be building this application for Androids or iPhones, right? So the first thing that we need to do is to convert this to its target platform, right? So in order to do that, I go to File menu, select Build Settings, and you'll be treated with a window like this. Over here, you can see a lot of platforms, right? Imagine the number of platforms that you can see here in order to make games on, right? So I'm going to select Android because I'm an Android guy. I have an Android phone. But in case if you have a MacBook and an Apple device, you have to select iOS, right? Currently, it says that it is not installed with Unity Hub, so I have to install this. I'm not going to do that. I have Android. Select Android and select switch platform, right? So this might take maybe 5 to 10 minutes to convert all the assets to Android. I'm not going to do that right now because it might take some time, but instead I will show you a different project that I have already converted to Android, right? So I do that, I close the project, right? Okay, now the first thing that we should do is, not the first thing, actually the next thing that we should do is to install certain plugins so that Unity can know that we're going to be building an AR application, right? So in order to do that, we need to use something called the package manager, right? So you can open up the package manager by going to Window, Package Manager, which will open up something like this, right? And over here, you can see a drop down which says Packages in Project. Click this and select Unity Registry because we're going to be installing something that belongs to the Unity's registry, and it will list down all the packages that we can install. Now we talk about AR Foundation, and for Android we need AR Core, right? AR Core SDK is for the Android. So the first thing that I should do is I select AR Core XR plugin over here and I install it. So I happen to find out that 4.1.7 version of this is a little bit troublesome. So I'm going to expand this. I click See Older Versions, and I select 4.1.1. And then I select Install. So now it will install this plugin. It might take a little bit of time to install itself. You can see that it is installing. Let's wait maybe a minute or two. So this is, this is the most frustrating thing in Unity. I think Andrew can vouch for me. He once opened up 2 gigabytes of a project, and he had to wait about I don't know how many hours to open the whole project. Yeah, you have to wait like 5 hours. So that's how it goes, right? You have to compile everything, and it takes a little bit of time. Okay. I think we're good. Right, so I installed AR Core XR plugin version 4.1.1. If you are building for AR Kit or to iOS, you have to download AR Kit XR plugin. Right. Now we have AR Core for Android. Right. So now what I do is I install AR Foundation. So one thing that you need to keep in mind is that the version of that should be identical to the version of your core plugin, right? So in this case, I have downloaded 4.1.1. I select See Other Versions and select AR Foundation 4.1.1, and I select Install. Alrighty. So more time waiting until we install the plugins, the correct plugins. Let's wait this out. I wanted to show you the whole process of downloading the assets. Okay, it says it's busy for 14, 15. Let's wait it out. I wish Unity could let you configure exactly. Oh man, you do a small change, and then Unity kind of recalculates everything. Reloads everything. It's frustrating, but it's rewarding at the end, right? So whatever that you make, it's rewarding at the end. So that you need to keep in mind. Okay, so now I downloaded AR Foundation, AR Core XR plugin. If you have iOS, you need to download AR Kit. That's pretty much it for now. Let's close this. Now we need to do some configurations, right? So this is the main thing that you need to do. Otherwise, you're going to be you're going to be treated with something that is not working. All right. So the next thing that you should do is to go to Edit, Project Settings. Right. So in Project Settings, there is something called XR Plugin Management over here, and select AR Core. Right. If you're building it for iOS, you'll be seeing something called AR Kit. Enable it. So this will tell Unity that this is an AR Core Android application. Right. And also, there is something else that you need to do. You need to go to Player Settings. Right. In your Player Settings, you need to expand resolution and presentation. Let me see whether that is the one. Yep, the other settings. There is something called graphics APIs, and there is something called Vulkan, right? Vulkan. So Vulkan, OpenGL, ES3 are like, those are native tools that defines how everything should be drawn, right? All the boxes and everything should be drawn. The problem is AR Foundation is not capable with something called Vulkan, right? So this is a bummer. So we have to click this and we have to remove this. So removing this process is a little bit too much. I'm not going to do that. You can do it. Just click Vulkan and remove the whole thing. And also, if you are building for iOS, you'll be able to see something called Enable AR Kit or something in other settings. Unfortunately, I cannot show that to you because I'm in Android version. You need to tick that as well, right? So remember that you need to tick that AR Kit, right? Use AR Kit. And apart from that, there is another one that you need to fill out, which is called like the camera permissions, right? Because for iOS, if you want to open up the camera, it needs to ask some permissions. So there is a text box called camera usage description. Remember that, camera usage description. Give a text. Say that we are using augmented reality we are using the camera for AR, something like that. Okay, so those are the project settings. And there is one simple setting that we need to do. Trust me, we're going to be doing this, but we need to do all of these settings first. Since I'm using the universal render pipeline, the camera view, right? The camera view that you actually see from your phone would be black because there are some, changes that we need to do, right? So you need to go to, there is a folder called settings, right? Remember, settings folder, and select the forward renderer, right? And over here in the inspector window, you can see something called add renderer feature, right? Click this and select AR background renderer feature. It kind of gives away the thing. Without this, it will show you a black screen, right? You don't want to do anything with a black screen. So you have to click it, otherwise you'll be treated with a black screen. Okay, that's all the settings that we need to do. Now let's get to building this. All right. So this is the scene that we have, right? I'm not going to be using this scene. Instead, I'm going to be creating a new scene, right? A new scene is like a new PowerPoint slide, right? So I go to my scenes folder. I can see there is something called sample scene already, but I'm not going to be using this. I'm going to right-click the project window over here, go to create, and select scene. Right, so here you can actually give a name. So I'm going to get out of this project, right? I have my already made project opened up, right? So this is the project that I've been working on. Don't worry about it. I'm going to create a new scene right over here. I right-click this, go to create, and select scene. And you can give any name. So I'm going to give workshop 1. Okay, now you can open up this scene by double-clicking on this scene, right? So when I double-click, I can see that there is nothing in this scene. It's just a void, a blank space. Nice. Now, I would create a sky so that it is going to be a lot, so white. So in order to do that, I go to my materials folder, right? Don't worry about what we have over here. I create a new material. Right? If you are familiar with 3D, 3D design tools, you know what a material is. Material is something like a paint bucket, right? Where you can throw away and you can paint the whole thing in that color, right? So here, I'm going to create a skybox so that everything would be white and the colors would be really good for us in AR, right? So I'm going to right-click this scene. Sorry, not the scene. Right-click this folder, go to create, and select material. I'm going to rename this as Sky Workshop 1. Okay. Now I select the material, and over here, there is something called shader. I'm going to change this shader to Skybox Cube Map. Right? And the tint color, I'm going to set this to a little bit whiter. Okay. Now I drag the sky and drop on top of my scene. Okay, I drop on top of my scene. Here you go. You have a white, good-looking scene. Nice. Now we need to import, we need to create some objects that defines the augmented reality session and augmented reality origin, right? So now we're going to develop something, right? So in your hierarchy, right-click, go to XR, and select AR session origin, right? So AR session origin is pretty much the origin point of your AR view, right? When you open up the camera with your app, right? You open up the origin. So wherever you are is going to be the origin, right? Okay. And if you expand this, you can see that there is a camera already, right? But also we have another camera in our scene, which is called main camera, right? So we don't need this because we already have an AR camera. So I'm going to right-click this and select delete, right? So now I have the directional light, right? So the directional light is basically the light. If you get rid of the light, everything will be darker, right? So here it's not going to be darker because you cannot actually see anything. So I'm just going to keep it up again. All right, so we have the AR session origin, and I'm going to right-click again, go to XR, and select AR session. So AR session is the one that actually starts the augmented reality session, right? It is there to start the session. Okay, so if you select the AR session, you can see there are various components called AR session, AR input manager, and also if you select AR session origin, you'll be able to see something called AR session origin. Okay, now we're talking about image tracking, right? We are talking about image tracking. The t-shirt is a plane, right? It's a marker. It's a marker-based tracking. So in order to do that, we need to have a marker. We need to have an image that we should use as a reference, right? So over here, I have that image, right? So I quickly designed this image right over here, where you can see with the Circuit Stream logo, with all these, grumpy-looking things. So why did I have a marker like this instead of only the Circuit Stream logo, right? Why did I have it? That is because we are tracking a marker, we are tracking an image, and then in order for that image to be tracked perfectly, we need to have features, right? We need to have uniquely identifiable features. So if you select the edge of this triangle, this is a feature, right? This is a feature. So based on these features, all the AR algorithms will map out a certain mathematical model, which is a bit advanced, based on the image that we have, right? So there is a really good article. I will share the link with you. This is hosted by one of the best AR SDKs in the world, which is called Vuforia. They have a really good article. Let me share this link with you. There you go. Have a look at it. It will show you the best practices of a target, of an image target, right? An image target has to be rich with features. For example, if you look at this, a rectangle will have 4 features because there are 4 different corners. A circle doesn't have any features because there are no features, right? There are no corners. This one has only 2 features because those are the only features that we have. And then apart from that, we need to, as you can see here, this one is a really good image with a lot of features, a lot of edges. If you scale this up, you can see the features with these yellow dots, right? This one is a really bad image because there is no good contrast. So you need to have very good contrast of the image. As you can see here, this image has like a really good contrast compared with the other 2. And the other one is the distribution, the feature distribution, right? So if your features are like aligned to a specific area, it would not track the whole image, right? So this one is pretty much good. But the problem here is that it is reflective, right? Sometimes these algorithms take the actual reflection into action and kind of neglects the actual reflection. So you need to make sure that the features of your image has to be featureful, right? And the last one is basically the organic shapes, which I talked to you before. and the repetitive patterns. So if you have a repetitive pattern, the algorithm actually cannot understand the start and the end of this, right? Because it is repetitive, right? It cannot understand whether this is the start or this is the start, because the pattern, the feature distribution is repetitive, right? So don't do that. Make it much more random, something like this. Okay, so I think those are the biggest features that we have. I think that's it. You can check that out, and you can see what are the best practices. Alrighty, so this is the image that we have, right? I just used I think Illustrator to make this. So basically, what you have to do is select that image and select a new, create a new folder. So I have a folder called images in my assets folder already. You can drag this and drop on top of this, right? So I already have that imported in my project, right? So if you select this, you can see that the image is right over here. Okay, all right. Okay, so that's about the markers, right? So now we need to actually import that marker into our scene. So in order to do that, the first thing that I do is I add a new component here. I search for image tracker. So over here, you can see there is something called AR Track Image Manager. I'm going to select it, and here you go. So basically, this is the one that manages all the image tracking features, right? Okay, so now here you can see there are 3 parameters that we need to fill out, right? The first parameter is actually the serialized library, right? Basically, the library of images that you want to get tracked, right? That you want to track. Okay, so we don't have a library at the moment. Let's go ahead and create a new library, right? So in order to do that, I right-click my assets folder, create a new folder. I'm going to create a new library assets folder. I go inside this folder, right-click, go to create, select XR, and I select reference image library, right? Right-click, create XR reference image library at the very bottom. I select this, and here I have a reference image library. I'm going to name that to circuit stream. You can put any name that you want. When you click it in your inspector window, you can see a button called Add Image. Whatever it is, I'm going to click it. Okay, nice. So now it asked for me to add an image, right? So I go to my images folder, I drag this t-shirt, and I drop on top of this. So that is one way that you can select an image. Or else, you can click this select button over here, and from the window, you can select the t-shirt, right? There you go. And the name is set to t-shirt, and that's it. And also over here, you can actually specify the size of this, right? So the size of this, the physical size of this is in meters, right? So if you're using imperial system, you need to convert it to meters. I'm just going to put about 0.3 and 0.3 as my reference physical size. Alrighty, now I have this image library. I'm going to select my AR session origin again. I go to my library assets. I drag this circuit stream library on top of this serialized library, right? So now it knows that these are the images to be tracked. Okay. All right. So here it asks, what are the number of moving images that you want to track? So basically, this, this we have to set up the number of the concurrent images that you want to actually track. So basically, a number about 4 or 5 would be ideal for this case. Okay. Last but not least, we have something called track image prefab, right? So here is the image. Here is the object that we want to spawn when it tracks the object, right? As soon as it tracks the not the object, track the marker, it will spawn whatever the object that we put over here. So let us go ahead and let us create a new object. Right. So in order to do that, I'm going to create here. I'm going to right-click this, select 3D object, and select quad. Right. So this is a quad. So this, I use it as a reference image. So I'm just going to name that as ref. And I reset the position of this, reset the transform of this to 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1. Okay, so if I double click this, it will take me closer to my ref. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste the image over here. So in order to do that, I go to materials, I create a new material, right click, create new material, and this is going to be my ref image, right? Ref image, right? And over here, I select the shader from Universal Render Pipeline to Universal Render Pipeline unlit. And for the base map, the image, I'm going to choose my t-shirt image. Now I can drag and drop the ref image. Where do we have it? Okay, here you go. I can drag and drop that. Oops. Let me drag this ref image and drop on top of this. Okay, so if you look from this side, right, you'll be able to see the reference image, right? Okay, so I'm going to set the size of this to 0.3, 0.3, and 0.3 because this is the actual 3D object that we. This is the actual size of the marker, and also I'm going to rotate this along the x-axis by 90 degrees. Okay, so don't worry about this. This is just a reference. You can actually make this without this, but I'm just creating this for reference, right? I want to know what to put on top of this image marker. Right, so now I click this, and over here, I right-click this, select empty, create empty game object. So this is actually the game object that we want to spawn right over here. So I'm going to name this as AR prefab, because this is the one that I'm going to, spawn. The position, I'm going to reset that to 0, 0, 0. Right? So now you can see that the position of that empty game object is over here, right? So now I can right-click this and create any sort of a 3D object inside this. So I can create a sphere. A sphere is a little bit too much, so I can select this and scale this all the way down, just like this. Okay, but I'm not going to be using a sphere. Instead, I'm going to be using the circuit stream logo. So if you double click this, I have the circuit stream logo. As you can see here, it's shining. The logo is right over here. Okay, I'm going to drag and drop this FBX file. So 3D objects, if you want to import 3D objects, the FBX files, the extension of that is FBX. You can drag and you can drop it here. But I have already imported that into a folder called models, right? So I drag and drop this inside my AR prefab. And I think that is a little bit smaller. So I'm going to scale that up. And let me use all these rotational tools to rotate this properly. Like this. Then this should be 180. And there we go. Okay. So I have this, I don't know, for some reason I have this background image. So I expand this. I can select what this background image is. It is the root one. I deactivate. So there you go. I have a circuit stream logo. Nice. Okay, so I'm going to create, I already have a bunch of materials that I created before. I have something called props mat or something. So I just can drag and drop that into all of these things to make it white. If you want to make it to another color, you can do that as well, just by changing the color of the material. See, if you change the color of the material, it's going to change the color of itself. There you go. But I'm going to choose white, because it's cool. And I can move this a little bit down, like this. All right, so let's do something custom. Let's add some text on top of this, right? So I right-click the AR prefab, go to 3D object, and select text mesh pro. Right, so it will ask you to import TMP essentials. Click it. So this is actually a package that will import, all these text files. So let's wait until this opens up. All right, here we go. We have a huge text file which is called sample text. Close this up. All right, so someone in the chat, let me know what should I put it here? What should I put as the text? Who's going to help me out here? So let's do something custom. Let's create a text thingy. Can I do? Give me a good slang or a text. Nobody? Well, let me just go ahead and like select. Okay, so over here you can see in the inspector window there is something called Text Mesh Pro Text. Oh, Canada, rad, let's rock. Nirali is here. Hey, Nirali. Air is epic. Sheesh. Okay, I have a lot, so I'm gonna like randomly pick one. I'm gonna like put my hand on top of a random file. Ah, there you go. Sheesh. Okay, so let me just type sheesh. Sheesh. Okay, sheesh, sheesh. Sheesh is that is. So I'm gonna give a good color so that it will have some contrast. I'm gonna make it bold. I can use this. I can use this tool, by the way, to like expand this. I'm going to make it centered. There you go. And also over here, I can actually give an outline. I think I might need an outline. Otherwise, this would not be visible. Sheesh. Nice. All right, so let's do a little bit of an animation to this, right? Without animation, it's done. So let's do a quick animation. So I'm going to select my Text Mesh Pro, right? I go to Window, Animation, select Animation, and which will open up some sort of a timeline. So there is, you have to select the text mesh, the text. Remember, everything is inside this AR prefab, right? If any chance, if it's outside, you can drag and put it inside the AR prefab, just like this. I'm going to create a new animation. So let me just name that animation as Sheesh. I think I have a folder called animations. I have one for CS logo that I built before. I'm going to click save. And here you go. So this is a little bit of a tricky process. If you are like into animation, you know what this is. This is actually the timeline. You can start recording the positions, right? So here you select this record button, right? And you can select the move button. So at time 0, 0, 0, my position would be over here. And then I can I can scroll down, and when it reaches maybe 2 seconds, my position will be like this. And then again, when it reaches 4 seconds, my position will go back to my previous. But the previous position I can take from this. I can copy this, Control C. I come here. First of all, you have to select this like this, Control C, and over here you can paste it. There we go. So now if you scrub, you can see there is a small animation. I can get rid of this recording because otherwise it will record all the things that we do. Okay, now if you play, you can see there is a little bit of an animation. Nice. Okay, that's pretty much it. So now what we're going to be doing is I'm going to change this into a prefab, right? An object that we can instantiate. Right, so in order to do that, I have a folder called prefabs. So if you don't have one, just create a new folder called prefabs. Click this AR prefab, the parent object, drag and drop it on top of the project window. Right, now you can see that the AR prefab turns itself to blue. We can click this and we can delete it. Don't worry about it. You can always drag and drop this into the scene and you can get it, right? So that is what Unity is going to be doing as soon as it identifies this thing, right? Okay, so I did that for the reference, so I don't need the reference now. It's just there for reference. So for example, if you want to have, if you have something in your artwork, maybe something like this, and if you want to pop something out of that specific place, the reference image is very helpful, right? So I don't need the reference image for that. So I click this, I disable it for now. Nice. Everything is good. Now you go to Air Session Origin. So this is the Air prefab that we want to instantiate over here, which says trapped image prefab. You drag and drop on top of this. Okay. Trust me, this is all you have to do. Okay. This is the only thing that you have to do. So I'm going to save my scene, right? Control save. Over here, you can see that my project is set to Android, right? My project is set to Android. So you need to now build this into your Android device or your iOS device. So today I'm going to be talking about Android. If you want to support in order to create, deploy this into an Apple device, iOS device, you can come to our Slack community channel, right? So there is a separate channel for iOS people, Apple people, right? There are a lot of help that you can take. There are a lot of tutorials. People are talking of how to build stuff, how to fix issues and stuff. Come to our Slack channel for iOS. So I'm just going to be talking about Android for today, right? So you go to File, Build Settings, and over here you can see there is something called Scenes in Build, right? So this one, which says scene/t-shirt, so this is the one that I originally had, right? This is the one that I originally had. So I'm going to remove this because this is not the scene that I want. I click Add Open Scenes, which will add the new scene that we created just now, scene/workshop. Okay, right. So if you connect your device, if you connect your Android device, you can see there's something called Run Device. So I have a Samsung phone, Samsung Galaxy device over here. You can see it. In order for this to see, you need to enable Android developer options and USB debugging. So in order to do that, you need to go to Settings, right? And go to About Phone, go to Software Information or whatever it is, find the build number, and you need to tap that like multiple times, maybe 5 or 6 times, right? When you do it, in your settings, you'll be able to see something called Developer Options, right? And in Developer Options, there is something called USB debugging. You just need to enable it, right? So while the USB debugging is something that basically your Windows PC can install applications on in your Android device. Okay, nice. So select that, click Build and Run, right? So if you're running this for the very first time, you'll be able to you'll be asked to save it somewhere else, right? So I just type it as build.apk and click Save. If not, if this is the second build, you just need to click Build and Run. Okay, so it anyway ask where to save it. So I have something called build.apk. So I'm going to overwrite this. Where is it? I'm not going to overwrite this. I'm going to put build1.apk, and I'm going to select Save. So this will start the process of building the whole thing. So I'm going to give the stage back to Steph, because this might take a little bit of time, and I might need to, be ready with the demo of what we did, to see whether it's actually working. Let's try that out. Okay, so my bad, my device is not fully plugged in. So I'm going to give the stage back to Steph. So we'll be talking about all of these things, and after his session, I'm going to jump back in, show you the demo. All right.
Perfect. Awesome. Hey, thank you so much, Indica. I really enjoyed it. Looking forward to seeing the end result here in about 5-10 minutes or so. But again, we do have some questions in the questions tab we'll get to at the very end. If there are any other questions, feel free to toss them into those questions tabs there. We'd be happy to help answer those in about 5-10 minutes or so. But let me just share my screen here again, just to wrap things up for about 5 minutes here, offer some resources for those who might be interested. Again, Indica, thank you so much for joining us here and showing all of this stuff around the T-shirt. Really do appreciate it. But with that, if someone is looking to take this to the next level, to create something themselves, whether it's a T-shirt, any other VR, AR idea that they have in mind, we do have our beginner-friendly program, the XR Development with Unity course, starting August 3rd for the international cohort and September 4th for our North American cohort as well. And again, this is 10 weeks long with 80 hours of live instruction, 30 hours in class with 50 hours of open office hours. Really beginner-friendly, an introduction to how to use Unity to make VR and AR apps, C# scripting fundamentals as well. This development course does dive into coding quite extensively. We cover several projects that we'll create alongside you that you can add to your portfolio, and you'll get a Circuit Stream certification and badge to show for as well. Again, August 3rd for our international course, September 14th for the North American one for anyone interested. Now, we do have another beginner-friendly program. I like to call this the XR Design course, but it's the Interaction Design and Prototyping for XR. Follows a similar structure, 10 weeks long, 80 hours of live instruction, 30 hours in class with 50 hours of open office hours available. And this one focuses more on designing experiences for AR, VR, the best practices for user experience in XR, understanding the usability, and the techniques and tools to design and create prototypes. In contrast to the development course, this one doesn't go into much C# coding or scripting at all. We actually use a tool to streamline the coding. So for those looking to get into VR and AR and not really focus on coding and get into it, this would be the course for you, and we'd be happy to speak to more about it. August 23rd is the next one that we have starting up for our North American friendly cohort there. Now, again, for those of you who may have rated yourself a 6 or a 7 on that Unity poll I sent out earlier, we do have the XR Project Accelerator course. This is 8 weeks long with 90 hours of available instruction and really focused for advanced learners to accelerate the design and development of projects they're working on or new projects they'd like to get going with. September 14th is the next one for this, and we'd love to speak more to it if anyone is interested. Now, before I do continue on to our community and support, I completely forgot to toss in a poll here. For Indica's portion, I'd love to know actually, on a scale of 0 to 10, and I'm going to toss it into the polls tab here. How likely are you to recommend this workshop to others? And Indica's going to join us again to show you the end result. But I'm going to publish the poll here. 0, you wouldn't tell anyone about this workshop. 10, you would recommend it to others. So do let us know in the polls tab on a scale of 0 to 10. How likely are you to recommend this workshop to others? 0, wouldn't tell anyone. 10, you would recommend it. Thanks, that helped. So with all of our courses and programs, and even with the Slack that I shared with you all, the link in the chat here, we have a great community and support system here at Circuit Stream. So feel free to join us on our Slack channel. I'm going to toss in the link here one more time. Great place to connect with like-minded individuals, get some support from our team with any challenges or issues that you're having, and just see what people are up to. We share opportunities and jobs around the Slack channel as well. We have open office hours available for students throughout the week, every single day. Various events that we hold outside of our workshops and webinars as well for people to join in on, and even demo days for students and alumni to show their work, get feedback, and to collaborate and network with others as well. Now, for all of our courses and programs, the 2 beginner-friendly programs and the more advanced course, we do offer payment plans and financing options for anyone interested. You can split it up into 3 months, 6 months, or over the year, 12 months. And as I mentioned earlier on this webinar, we do also have team training opportunities as well. So for any groups of colleagues interested in learning all together, building something out together, or really just having a private session to work on VR and AR development and design, we do have team training opportunities as well. And these bundles or courses, we do have bundles as well, come with live one-on-one sessions with experts on our team here, really to focus on your own projects and ideas to show for, in addition to the other project and portfolio pieces as well. So if anyone's interested in learning more, or just checking it out, feel free to download a syllabus or apply now at circuitstream.com/learning. And any of the admissions team here, myself, my colleague Kyle, or Brendan that you may have seen in the chat, would be happy to chat with you to see, if it's a good fit, what you're looking to build, if there's any interest, or just offering some insight and other resources for yourself to take there. So again, thank you all for joining us. I'm going to see if Indica's project is ready to go. Indica, I think your volume's still on there, so we can still hear you. Let us know.
Oh, my bad.
No worries. Got some clicking in the background there, but not a problem at all. How's the project? Has it come up? Is it ready to go yet?
It's good. It's good. I was kind of nervous a little bit because it took a lot of time to build. Let me share my screen and let's see how it goes.
Perfect. Awesome.
Nice.
Let's check it out. Let's check it out.
All right. Can you see my hand? There you go.
Yes, can see it.
Okay. So this is like okay. So this is the screen that I'm like showing here. So over here you can see the T-shirt and sheesh with the animation. There we go. Nicey. So you can actually, it's not sheesh. You can like put on anything, any 3D model, any object, and this is gonna work. There you go. Nicely looking. Circuit Stream T-shirt.
And you can apply this to anything really, not only T-shirts, but cups, mugs, products of all sorts. Various different things, right? It's not only T-shirt related, but I actually did one in when I took our course a long time ago. I had a flask, and then I made this my flask come to life with a little animation as well. So, no, this is super exciting. And Indica, what other things have you used a similar AR experience for in your experience with AR development?
I have used. I've used this for a bunch of T-shirts, and then apart from that, I use this for a couple of posters. Tickets. We have to like scan a ticket of a movie, and then you kind of like see the actual characters popping out of the movie, and children's books. All these products. There are countless things that you can do with it.
Countless. And there's actually a very interesting that I experienced when I was living in Europe was you get bracelets for festivals, for most festivals, and some of the bracelets will have logos and advertisements on it. So if you did take out your phone and you scanned it, actually, you'll actually be able to see the sponsor or the advertisement pop out. And for instance, Coca-Cola had their own augmented reality feature with the wristband. Used your phone, you could see it come to life, bottles would come out. So that was a big one that I noticed years ago was for the event and entertainment industry, using it for advertisements and marketing as well. So as Tion says, or Taeon, my apologies, XR is the future. And that's definitely what I think is the case here. But let's see. So we do have a few questions here, Indica, that I'd like to toss your way. So this one's from Farzana. And Farzana, great to see you in the audience here today. Farzana was asking, and let me just close this up. Beauty, perfect.
Yep.
For the workshop, and I'm sure it's just fine, but she was asking, can I use Unity 2019.4 for this workshop? Does it work? I'd like to say yes, if it is an old LTS version, most definitely. But what are your insights there, Indica?
Yeah, definitely. It will work with any of the recent Unity version. It doesn't need to be a long-term support version. But some of these versions might have different complications with the AR Foundation version. But as long as it doesn't give you any errors in your console, we're good to go.
Beauty. When I see Farzana writing something, thanks. Perfect. Awesome. I'm glad that helped, Farzana. Wonderful. Well, if there's anything else, let us know. Happy to answer it for you. So we've got one from Devin Gray here, and I did answer a chat in the chat tab, but he did have another question stemming from this. So Devin was asking, I've been watching a few tutorials on this, but everyone uses different versions. Is there somewhere you can read up on which versions are sufficient and capable? So I did send him the Unity LTS releases page for him to check out for Unity, but he did also ask about AR Foundation and some of the other tools out there. So Indica, any insight there about the versions for AR Foundation or Vuforia, for instance, some of the other tools that are out there?
Yeah, my take is to use the latest version of whatever that is available, because in order for you to get the latest features of them, you need to use the latest versions. But try them out, import the latest versions, see whether they work, whether they give any issues or any errors. Go back and forth between different versions. And when you find out something that is much more stable and which, something that gives you the thing, something that allows you to create the thing that you want, I think that's it. Don't ever change it, because, you don't need to mess up with it. Just download the stable version that works without errors and keep at it. So that is why I asked you to download 4.1.1 version of it, because I downloaded 4.1.7. I had to deal with a lot of issues, a lot of errors. Sometimes this has to do with the version of Unity, and sometimes it's not. So some of them are getting fixed all in all, but it is good to like stick with to a stable version.
That makes sense. And is this the same case for AR Core as well, or AR Kit if they're using one of those two?
Yeah, definitely,
Perfect.
definitely. Yeah.
Awesome. It is a little bit trial and error, definitely, Devin. But again,
Yeah.
probably the most recent releases would be the best. It is trial and error. So I hope that helps out. And hopefully that answered your question there as well. So we've got another question here from Tion or Teon. And he's asking which type of object was the reference or the ref object? And this was during the thing you were building. Are you able to shed light on that, Indica?
Yeah, so the ref object is basically a quad. A quad is basically just a plane, right? Its quad is like the most fundamental 3D model, right? It's just a plane. So I just used that, and on top of that, I created the material so that I can place an image, right? I just used that as a reference. That's it. So you can even do that without a reference, but you wouldn't be able to identify the exact corners, you know, the dimensions of your own 3D object. Otherwise, if you do it, when you spawn it, your 3D model on top of the t-shirt might be so big, you know. I just use the ref image so that the scale of that, would be easy for me to understand.
Right. Okay, perfectly. Yeah, I hope that helps stay on. And anytime, thank you for clearing that up, Indica. Really appreciate it. Beauty. So we've got one from Richard, and Richard's asking, how performant is URP with iOS and Android phones? Is it better to stick with regular 3D or to do the URP one?
My take is that now, since we are moving forward, in the long run, Unity might be dropping off the standard pipeline. Not really sure. But with URP, you can do a lot of things, right? You can build custom shaders, custom effects. If you wanna make something that pops out, make some kind of a fire that pops out of your t-shirt, you can actually easily build that using universal render pipeline. So with the regular 3D, it's going to be a little bit tough because you have to write all the shaders by hand. But the process is exactly similar. Similar. The performance of URP is better than it used to be. It is somewhat close to standard regular 3D. So I have done countless number of applications with URP, and it's good for Android phones. It's performing really well.
Awesome. Perfect. I hope that helps answer your question there. And let us know, Richard. Thanks. Awesome. Woo! We did it. Thank you. Thank you, Indica. Next one is from Pallavi. And Pallavi's asking, if I wanted to create an AR app for t-shirt e-commerce, like Nike did with the shoes, so potential customers can try on the t-shirts and choose a design, how would I track the body with the method you showed today?
Nice. So yeah, that's a tricky but a nice question. In ARKit, you have human body tracking. In AR Core, they're kind of building it. Right now, it's not stable enough to be commercially available. But if you're building it for an iOS device, you can use the human body tracking feature that is provided by ARKit, which is a part of AR Foundation, by the way, and then you can use that as the reference so you can place a t-shirt. But we're playing with a less performing cameras, right? It's just camera. There's nothing like more additional sensors to it. But with LiDAR, I think you can do additional stuff like human body detection. But what Nike did with the shoes is not actually direct AR. They're using artificial intelligence algorithms, deep learning algorithms to identify the orientation of your foot or your shoe. And then on top of that, they're kind of pasting that. So that development toolkit is a little bit advanced than what we do here. But it's more or less the same. So you can try out with AR, human body tracking with Unity, with t-shirts and stuff. And it's not going to be fully realistic because your body movements has to tally with the body movements. But as a as a prototype, you can start working with ARKit and AR Foundation.
Perfect. I hope that helps answer your question, Pallavi. Do let us know in the chat. If not, I see you chatting there. So hopefully it helps. I've heard a lot about these, try on AR clothings, whether they're virtual assets or not. It's always piqued my interest, and I know people are trying to work with it. So thank you so much. That's a great. I'll start with that. Awesome. Glad that helped. Let's see what we have next. So this one's from Dinuka, and Dinuka's asking if I want to build for both iOS and Android, would I need to create multiple projects, or can I change the target device platform and build the project after creating the scenes and the rest of the stuff? Well, what are your thoughts there, Indika?
Exactly. So that is the beauty behind Unity and also Air Foundation. So as I explained earlier, you just need to open up the build settings. You can switch between Android, iOS, Windows Universal Platform for HoloLens, or when you install Magic Leap, you can quickly switch back to Magic Leap, right? Lumen. That's pretty much it. You just need to create using Air Foundation, and you just need to change the device, and it's gonna be just a single project. Trust me, I have used a single project, and I have exported that to multiple platforms: iOS, Android, and even a Windows Universal Platform, and even to run on your desktop. You can do that as well. But Air Foundation does not work with desktop. You need to keep in mind. Air Foundation, AirKit, AirCode does not work with desktop versions. So that's a bummer.
Perfect. Well, hopefully that helped Dinuka. I know she's also writing something out in the chat here. But yes, definitely possible. All right. Thanks for clearing that up. Glad that helped. Thank you, Indika, as well.
Awesome.
Perfect. So it looks like we have two more questions here, and this one comes from Ricardo. Ricardo's wondering, this project could be started as a normal 3D project, or should it always be render pipeline rendering? So we did touch up on this a little bit, but let's answer it for Ricardo here as well.
Yeah. So if you want to start it if you have started it as a 3D project, and if you see, if you don't want to add these additional features with Universal Render Pipeline, you don't really need to do anything. It's just going to be as it is. The colors, the animations, and everything can be as it is, because I used to work with 3D, standard 3D for a long time, and I exactly made similar outputs just like this with normal 3D pipeline. But the reason for me to showcase Universal Render Pipeline today is that there is an additional step that you need to take in order to get rid of that black background, right? Mm-hmm. So it doesn't need to be Universal Render Pipeline or anything. It can be a normal 3D project. The process is exactly similar. It's just that with URP, you can create additional effects, materials, colorful things, stuff like that.
Perfect. Hopefully that helps out, Ricardo. Thank you again, Indika, for the insights there. And looks like we may have one last question in the questions tab, and this is from Wuthichai Lee. Wuthichai is wondering, what are your thoughts on building using Unity or directly on ARKit or ARCore for mobile?
My take is the performance, right? So if you build with the native ARCore and ARKit platforms, these platforms, the devices, the hardware are perfectly built for the native platform. So if you choose the native platform to build something like that, the performance, the frame rate, and everything is going to be top notch, right? There's no additional performing things that is taking up your CPU or the memory, right? But with Unity, right, it's the easiest, it's the ease of doing things, right? You just open up Unity, you just drag and drop some, 3D models. You have Air Foundation for both ARKit and ARCore. That's easy to develop, right? If you want to rapidly develop something, you can use that. And you can use the features that are provided by Unity. You can even play a game. You can even create a mini Flappy Bird or a Mario game, and then on top of that, you can place some 3D buttons so you can press it. So you can create a game much more easier than building it in the native platform. Mm-hmm. But the native platform is always, performance-wise, it's always good, and you have to build it twice for ARKit and ARCore. So that's a drawback. And the other one is the complexity of building something like that. But if you want to consider the performance, my take is to go ahead with the native one. If you want to consider with the features and how quickly you want to take it to the market, my take is Unity.
Awesome. Hopefully that helps answer your question there, with the chai. And we have Lala. Lala, great to see you here in the audience today. So Lala's question is, can you implement other parametric 3D programs with Unity?
Okay, so I might want to fight with my vocabulary. What do you mean by parametric?
We'll see, Lala. If you could let us know what you meant by parametric, that would be helpful. Feel free to toss it in the chat. But let's see if I can find anything around that here quickly. So parametric.
So while he's doing that, if I assume parametric as like other types of 3D programs, yes, Unity is perfectly built for 3D, 3D game initially, but now we're building different types of things, right? Industrial applications, building simulations. There is something called digital twin, which we combine Unity and industrial hardware devices. So you can actually, using game controllers, you can control robots, actual robots, and you can visualize the same thing. You can prototype or visualize the same thing as a digital twin in Unity. So there are countless things that you can do with Unity. It used to be a game engine, but nowadays it's not a game engine anymore. There are a lot of things that you can do.
So Lala, she did mention it's with measurements. So essentially, can you implement other parametric 3D programs with Unity with measurements? I assume it would be like a CAD and whatnot, but yeah, what do you think there, Indica?
Yes. So Air Foundation, AirKit, and AirCo, they have the feature to track the approximately identify the actual measurements around you, right? So basically, in Unity, we count all of these measurements in meters. So if you spawn a basic cube, which is like 111 cubic cube, it's going to be 1 meter. So you can get that as a reference, and based on that, you can draw the world around you, and the measurements are going to be exactly similar in meters, right? So you can definitely create parametric 3D programs with augmented reality, Air Foundation, and Unity.
And can you integrate those tools with Unity? Out of curiosity, for instance, I think there's like a Katia software that the Salt system uses, if I'm not mistaken. I know Lala's also mentioned writing something here in the chat, but we'll see what she says there. Beauty. And then it looks like no other questions here.
Oh, yes.
Perfect CAD programs like Rhinoceros. Right on.
Rhinoceros, there is no direct implementation from Rhinoceros to Unity, but you can actually export we call that as the DOM. We can export the CAD file, and then we can do some intensive C# programming so that we can convert that to something that we can put it in Unity. But Unity natively supports BIL files. I'm not really sure whether it's BIL or anything. So there is something called Revit. Revit is a CAD program, and you can import files directly from Revit to Unity. So there is a separate Unity Revit partnership going on. You can search for that, and it's in Unity's website. So you can look that up, and there's definitely going to be solutions based on that.
Right. And let's see if I can actually find that here for you, Lala. Unity, Revit. So it's the Reflect Autodesk Revit plugin.
Yes, it's called Unity Reflect. Yes, now that
Perfect. So just tossed it in the chat here for you. Hopefully that helps out. But let's see if there are any other chats or comments, questions here. Ricardo, one from Ricardo here. Which do you recommend to start with, Vuforia or ARKit?
Yes. So ARKit, it's free, right? You don't have a watermark. But Vuforia, it's not free, but at the same time, Vuforia has its own implementations like cylinder tracking, area targets, object tracking, image tracking. So image tracking in Vuforia is much more better than ARKit and ARCo, right? But as you could see, right, today it's not that bad. It's good because the marker that we used is really good. But my recommendation for you is to start with Vuforia if you want to start with Air image targets, because you can test it out with your PC. With Air Foundation, you cannot do that. You have to put it in your phone to test it out. But with Vuforia, you can use your web camera and you can test it with your device. So the development is much more simpler with Vuforia.
Yeah, that's what I remember as well. Vuforia, easy to pick up, play with, and then, transition to something later on. So hopefully that helps out, Ricardo. Lovely. So I don't think we have any more questions left or anything in the chat to follow up on. So with this, I'll take another second to see if anything comes in. Richard is typing. We'll see if he's got anything to say. And it's a thank you. Thanks. Awesome. Well, hey, let's wrap things up there. Indica, thank you so much for taking the time this evening, if I'm not mistaken, to host this workshop alongside myself. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in today on this workshop as well. Don't forget, we're going to be sending this recording to all of you within the next couple of hours, so you can work with this on your own time, slow things down, pause it, play, however you like. But again, if there's anything we could help you out with, please don't hesitate to reach out to myself or Indica. And feel free to join us on the Slack channel too. We'd love to speak with you about any interests you have, support you any way we can. Dayon, thank you for the support backstage as well. Great to see you all. Andrew, Daria, Alyssa, Nirali, David, Boyd, Dinethi, Pallavi, and Richard. Thank you everyone for tuning in. I wish you a wonderful morning, afternoon, night, and hope to catch you on the next workshop. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Lale, Ricardo, thank you. Have a wonderful day. Bye, everyone.